Welcome back. The crypto drama just continues to pile up. In my view, it is now the time to go opposite where we've been for multiple years now in a bullish sentiment. In my view, it is potentially time to flip bearish. In today's video, we're going to be exploring what is going on with MicroStrategy, what is going on with the other treasury companies, what's going on with World Liberty Finance, because now we have a Polygon developer calling out the project. And we're also kind of get a little bit into the NFT trade and kind of where the billionaires are telling you to put your money again at what I believe is the end of the cycle. And listen, guys, a lot of people on my channel have been saying, Cryptoviser, you're wrong. We're not at the top. We haven't even hit the euphoria phase. Maybe I'm wrong here. But at the end of the day, I'm following what the data and the market sentiment is showing. And the market sentiment is definitely showing us end of cycle. And in today's video, we're going to be exploring all of this. I'm going to be letting you guys know what puts or short positions I've already profited from while everybody else continues to stay bullish. This is the Cryptoviser podcast. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. That way you never miss a new video. We upload every single day since 2018 to bring you the latest happening in the financial world. And we're going to be starting right here with MicroStrategy not making it into the S&P 500. Now, you guys may think, okay, Cryptoviser, this is old news by the time we're watching this video. We already know MicroStrategy is not in the S&P 500, but the bigger picture is the thesis that I've been laying out for the last couple of months. Just like a few weeks ago, I posted this video called MSTR Crash is Loading Risk Zone. One of my poorest performing videos. And again, because people don't want to hear that we're potentially rotating into a bear market when we're in a bull market, when they're fully vested, when all of their investments are in one position or concentrated within one type of position like Bitcoin or crypto. And listen, I was there. Part of the reason I started this channel was because in 2017, I was fully allocating my portfolio, being a brand new person in crypto. In 2018, complete wipeout, right? And so we started this channel to learn about the financial industry, the financial markets, how it works, and so how we can capitalize on making money in these markets. And part of the way to understand how to make money is to also understand what the sentiment is, like if everybody's bullish, nobody's bullish, right? You can be the most bullish that you've ever been in your entire life at the top of the market and then say, oh, but Cryptoviser, there's no euphoria in the market. It's like, no, you are the euphoria. You can't see the euphoria when we are in this stage of the cycle. And again, if you go to the irresponsibly long MicroStrategy group on X, and by the way, we're going to be looking at some tweets in just a minute, it should be very clear. Before the S&P 500 non-inclusion, when everybody was anticipating that that MicroStrategy would make it in, that was bullish. Now that we didn't make it in, well, that's still bullish. If MicroStrategy is able to raise money, that's bullish. If they're not able to raise money, that's also bullish. If the price of Bitcoin goes up, it's bullish. But if the price of Bitcoin goes down, it's also, everything is bullish. That is euphoria, guys. That is euphoria in the markets. And by the way, so I laid this out a few weeks ago. This video was posted, it's not even showing me. Oh yeah, September 1. And so that means that it was probably recorded a few days before that, maybe at the end of August. And so I want to play you this part where I'm literally telling you guys, like weeks ago, exactly what was going to occur with the MicroStrategy stock. And by the way, I have bought puts on this. I am net short MicroStrategy, right? It's very rare that I will go opposite a bull trend, right? Very rare. Because generally speaking, this channel is a bullish channel. This channel is about making money. But you have to be able to identify the tops of the markets. This is the 30-minute candles on MicroStrategy's price. This goes back to May. What do you see? In May, we topped out at about $400, came back down, went back up in July to about $450. And this was a 1-2 triple top So you had a double top here, triple top here, and we've been going down ever since. Now, first of all, we started moving down in July. July is when MicroStrategy stated they were not going to sell any shares on the open market unless the MNAV was over 2.5x. Well, what happened to the MicroStrategy price? It continued to go down through July. And so at some point, at the beginning of August here, and again, this is the bull trap. This is exactly what a bull trap looks like. If you look at the psychological market charts, right, you hit the top, you come down, you make a little bit of a recovery, and then straight down. And I'm going to be showing you in just a second how Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy, the company, is accelerating this downtrend. And in my view, that is the indicator, forget about MicroStrategy, that Bitcoin has topped out. Because again, I believe, I'm going to play for you the video where I kind of lay out the thesis. But again, you can see we made a little bit of a recovery here because they said, okay, we're going to start selling more shares on the open market. But then they actually started doing that. They started selling shares on the open market. And then what happened? Down, 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 down. And by the way, if you look at even the day by day, if you look at like the minute by minute chart and you look at the actual like days of trading, I mean, I was watching this live at the beginning of September as we were approaching this date that everybody was anticipating for MicroStrategy's inclusion in the S&P 500, which we theorize in this channel was not going to happen. That was going to be the rug pull. And it's going to play out that way because in the week leading up to the S&P non-inclusion, right? Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy was selling shares in the open market. We know this because you could actually see it in the charts and you could see it in the price activity. And the fact that we keep going lower and lower, the MicroStrategy crew, they're like, oh no, this is bullish. This is bullish. Remember, everything is bullish to the MicroStrategy, maximalists. Everything is bullish. Meanwhile, the reason we're going down is because number one, they're selling shares in the open market. Number two, they're diluting all the other shareholders. And number three, the buy side is weak. If the buy side wasn't weak, we would be going higher or at least maintaining the value. But we were dropping precipitously. Okay, we went from $450 to 2 months later being at $300 and whatever, $20. And the MicroStrategy crew are like, well, this is bullish. Buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Well, that's not going to play out now. That MicroStrategy was not included in the S&P 500. And so in this video, again, go watch this video. It's on my page. Just go to my YouTube page, click on videos, and then just scroll down to MSTR crash zone loading, risk zone, 6 days ago, September 1. And I laid it out right here. At the 18-minute mark is when I started talking about like it was at 16 minutes. This is when I started realizing what the rug pull would be. And so
imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it.
Sorry, I didn't realize the sound was on. In this clip, we're going to be hearing from Josh, and I'm going to be showing you updates from Josh now that the S&P 500 inclusion is not happening because he believed that it was. And by the way, a lot of people followed that thesis without doing their own research and understanding that he's just giving you his opinion. He doesn't know this for a fact, even though he was stating it like it was fact. It's still his opinion. Let's listen to what I said in this video, MicroStrategy crash loading on September 1. In all of their debt facilities and their preferred stocks and their stock. He said MicroStrategy is practically in the S&P 500 already. By the way, it's not. When I'm recording this video in the beginning of September, I'm going to give you the date in a minute that the S&P 500 makes announcements about whether they're including new companies in the S&P 500. Josh said the company, meaning MicroStrategy, has resumed the selling of its own shares. Okay, we know this. He basically said it was going to be included. And then I went to Grok and I said, is any announcements of inclusion for any company expected in the S&P 500? And so we know that it was September 5th. And what was September 5th? In a previous video, I also theorized that what we would see occur 1 year would be an inverse. And I start explaining it at this point in the video. This is about the 21-minute mark. And in the 21-minute mark, I start talking about the inverse, right? Because historically, in the crypto markets, from the top to the bottom of the market is exactly 1 year to the day. This has played out the previous 2 cycles. So in my view, if last year was the all-time high for MicroStrategy, which it was, and we know that they're going to keep selling shares in the open market. We know now that they're not included in the S&P 500. We know that that Bitcoin is also peaking out, and that the buy side on MicroStrategy stock, on MicroStrategy preferreds, and also just Bitcoin is slowing down. That's why the price is kind of dropping a little bit. And so if my thesis plays out, this was September 6th, the bottom before we went to the top. And so again, if my thesis is valid, we are now going to be going from the top on September 6th to the bottom, which is going to be around November 20th into December. And this would line up with potential Federal Reserve easing, more money printing, and other things like that. And so I would definitely recommend watching this video. There's a lot more context that we're not going to be talking about in today's video. But I'm hearing a lot of this also with Cryptoviser. The SEC is unveiling their new crypto agenda to revamp crypto policy and ease Wall Street rules. Yeah, that's great, but we already knew this. None of this is new, right? None of this is new, number one. Number two, it doesn't take away the fact that MicroStrategy is overvalued for the Bitcoin that it holds, and you could just go buy Bitcoin directly or go buy a Bitcoin ETF. People are discounting this risk, and I've been laying it out for months. I mean, to people like you and I, we're winning on this trade because we saw the thesis. We took positions in that thesis, and that thesis is playing out. The same way that the MicroStrategy maximalist, they had a thesis. MicroStrategy is always going to go up. It doesn't matter that he's selling shares in the open market. It doesn't matter that they're diluting. It doesn't matter that the Bitcoin price can go down. We're going higher and higher and higher. And they put their money where their mouth was. And it's going to continue to be a lost case because most of the MicroStrategy maximalists don't realize this yet, but they will. And when they do, we are going much, much lower, much, much lower. Anyway, after the fact, right, after we found out that the MicroStrategy was not going to be included, again, this is another indicator because this is a bull who made a lot of money, but was also taking bets that MicroStrategy was going to be included. And so now that it's not included, what do you think happened to those bets? They were losses, right? Maybe not complete losses. But Josh said, I awake to all kinds of rhetoric from the Sailor Maxi crowd. Virtually none of you seem to notice that I'm suggesting is that you do what the calculation is proving, accretion. And again, this is more of the financial gibberish that MicroStrategy kind of throws out. And Josh is starting to become, well, he's become a bear now, that they're not included and that they keep selling more shares on the open market. When you see bulls flipping like this, or bears flipping, and it's happening in succession, like one after another after another. These are indicators that the market is turning. I also told you guys a few weeks ago at the beginning of September with Josh's tweet about the selling, that sentiment is shifting very rapidly, and the MicroStrategy bulls, with the MicroStrategy bulls, is not good for Bitcoin either. And I said the MicroStrategy price will fall hard in September. The MNAV will compress to 1 or below. And it's going to happen. It's already underway. And again, the bulls have flipped. And so anybody who flips from going forward, right, eventually somebody's going to be left holding the bag, right? Once again, he said, it's very easy. Run the numbers on the Stretch IPO. They sold Stretch and bought Bitcoin. Did the Bitcoin per share go up or down? Nothing is moving now, so simply use the closes for Stretch and Bitcoin on Friday to make it easy. When you do simple math, you'll be surprised. Someone took your Bitcoin per share, effectively saying that the Bitcoin per share is not rising. Now, Sailor bots keep drowning me out with rhetoric. Most fans cannot do the math. And it's true. Most of the tweets that you're seeing is he's saying, like, do the math on this. Show me how the Bitcoin per share went up. And they're like, Josh, you're just a bitter man that was wrong about the inclusion. It's like, yeah, but you're missing the point of what he's saying. That's why he's calling them bots, and I would agree. There's probably a lot of bots. In most of these crypto ecosystems, there's a lot of bots to just push the narrative. He said, I don't want to hear anything from you if you can't acknowledge that Bitcoin per share doesn't work. It's an illusion. He's living off price action of MicroStrategy and sucking the blood out of any hope you have of making a real return in the MicroStrategy stock. And I would agree. The market would have afforded him a huge multiple of half his stack because of the passive index buying. But he decided to drive your shares lower by diluting the common shareholder, again, by selling more shares in the open market. Something everyone but you knows is a no-no with dedicated shareholder proxies in hand. And effectively, it sounds like what Josh is saying here is that they potentially would have been included, but Wall Street doesn't buy the BS financial gibberish that people are throwing out. They're like, well, it's accretive to the Bitcoin per share. And it's like, what does that even mean? Right? No other company in the world talks like that. And so to think that like the S&P 500, like they're like, well, we need a change. We need to be able to get a Bitcoin accretion per share. I don't even know what that means. And I follow the market on a regular basis because it's gibberish. It doesn't matter what it means. It's bullshit. Because at the end of the day, you're still paying $1.56 for $1 worth of a stock. And by the way, it's much lower than that technically, because all of these preferred shares get access to the Bitcoin before the MicroStrategy shares. And again, the maximalist, they don't even understand that Saylor already sold massive quantities of the company himself. But by the way, this is top secret info. Make sure you do not share this with any MicroStrategy maximalists because they're not allowed to know this. You can go on the NASDAQ website and actually go look at insider sales and insider purchases. And you can see over the last 12 months, insiders have sold more than they've purchased. And if you go to Michael Saylor's actual sales, you can see thousands and thousands of shares offloaded from 2020. This only shows you 2024, but it was from 2023 into 2024. Hundreds of millions of dollars. And there's still a lot of Bitcoin MicroStrategy maximalists that don't even see it. And so Josh is now stating that Saylor purposefully torpedoed the S&P 500 inclusion by doing more dilution after he said he wouldn't. And a quick stat is that MicroStrategy is down 38% since the inauguration. So how is it that Michael Saylor has been added to Bloomberg's official list of the world's richest 500 people? Guys, because he's doing what he's telling you to do. Sell MicroStrategy, buy Bitcoin. Don't buy MicroStrategy, buy Bitcoin. But the maximalists don't see it. That's why, like, are these people or are they bots, right? Potentially bots. Anyway, this user said, I think the post-IPO, the Bitcoin per share is down 11% according to Grok's math. And he said, bingo, do not blindly accept the notion that you're accruing Bitcoin per share. Only with excellent execution does the calculation actually return a positive number. The iPhone moment for MicroStrategy, this is literally what they said, like this was the iPhone moment, was diluting without even adding new shares. This is what happens when you borrow money by selling preferreds at a huge discount and then smash at the buy button near the high. Again, all these Bitcoin treasury companies are buying all-time record highs. We can go higher after that, but that doesn't take away that they're buying at the all-time record high. They're buying the top of the market. That is bearish. Very bearish. So, yeah, where's the MicroStrategy trade going? I don't think that it can sustain these numbers. Like I said, just based on the MNAV, the price should be 1/3 lower, 33% lower than where we currently are. Just based on the MNAV, right? And obviously, maybe MNAV is not the only metric you want to look at, but we're going to look at it for today. So 335 minus 33% would equal a $110 drop, which is $224. It's already baked in. And by the way, we can go below 1 MNAV, and I think that we will. Again, if you've been watching my videos for any length of time, first of all, make sure you guys are subscribed. That way you never miss a new video. Also give the video a free thumbs up. You can also become a channel member. Link down below in the description. Or if you're on YouTube, click join or subscribe plus to learn more how you can become a channel member. Thanks to everybody who is a channel member or gives the video a thumbs up every single day. And so like my view on this is similar to Grayscale in 2020 and 2021. There was massive moves above MNAV and below MNAV for Grayscale. And I was trading that in the last cycle. And I probably made more money in those trades than even in crypto because it was almost the easiest trade to make. And the only reason that anybody would not want to make that trade here with MicroStrategy is because they're listening to the MicroStrategy maximalists and bulls. But at the end of the day, we have easy access to buy Bitcoin on many different platforms, including banks. We have access to Bitcoin ETFs that have no financial gibberish involved. You own what you buy. And there's other companies that have less risk, less debt, less overhead, and less issues. And so MicroStrategy is the risk for this cycle. And if I was listening to the bots and to the bulls and not listening to my thesis based on the data and analysis that we do on this channel, I would probably be long MicroStrategy, but I haven't been long MicroStrategy for a while. I mean, I haven't been short, but I also haven't been long. And so people are like, well, you're going to miss out. It's like, no, I'm just not in the trade, right? I'm not missing out because I'm not in the trade. I'm in other trades that are probably trading way better than this. But again, we are now at the end of the cycle. We're at this point in the cycle where you have to either trade the market or sit it out because this is not the time to buy and hold. This is probably the time to sell and wait or look for potential downsides. Now, I'm not saying the market's not going higher, but these kind of trades are risky. And because there's so much connection to the Bitcoin price, if Bitcoin goes down and MicroStrategy goes down and MicroStrategy starts moving to 1 MNAV, it's potential we're going to go below that $200 level and potentially go down below $100 because we're just thinking about the MNAV right now. We're also not just thinking about the Bitcoin price because if the price goes down to 1 just based on where we're at, it's $200 something. But if the Bitcoin price goes down 30% and this goes down to 1 MNAV, below 200, easily. And this is going to happen. Regardless of what the bulls say, it's going to happen. It's not that I want it to happen. But gravity pulls the market back to earth. And I think that we're going to see a correction. Like, it just is what it is. And I think that they're going to have a lot of issues with some of these other products because, again, liquidity is drying up. And they can only sell as the liquidity is there. But we're already seeing they're selling shares in the market and there's not a lot of buyers. Because if there were, we wouldn't continue to see the price eroding and eroding and eroding. But like I said, every cycle, there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers. You can be a winner or you can be a loser. Not every trade is going to be a win. But if you are locked in to these cryptos or these stocks and cannot figure it out, you're gonna end up losing. And that brings us to this whole debacle with World Liberty Finance. And make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. That way you never miss a new video. So now we have a developer from the Polygon ecosystem calling World Liberty Finance the scam of all scams. Now, we know basically that World Liberty Finance is the Trump organization's like crypto arm, I guess you could say. I don't know why this is not loading. And then we heard that Justin Sun, his wallet got blacklisted. And it sounded like his wallet got blacklisted for potentially many different reasons. But it was unknown exactly why. But you can see that after this, the Tron price has been starting to waver. And that's also not good. When you start to see a lot more volatility in the markets across the board, based on like speculative new, like S&P 500 inclusion for MicroStrategy, like new coins launching, like NFTs, which we're going to get to in just a few seconds here, that volatility is usually a market rotation, either from a bear to a bull or a bull to a bear. We've been in a bull market. So seeing this kind of volatility, not just in Tron, but also MicroStrategy is also quite concerning. And World Liberty Finance, they launched just recently, I think August or September of 2025. And again, like just a lot of drama and nonsense that's been going on, right? Justin Sun's wallet got frozen. Then Justin Sun is like saying that he didn't do anything wrong. He wasn't selling the coins. And then we hear this. A crypto developer says that the Trump-linked crypto project World Liberty Finance froze his tokens and refused to unlock them, calling it the New Age Mafia. Now, I'm just going to start by saying I don't think that they're trying to take people's money, right? But there is something to say about freezing wallets because they believe that it's linked to sanctioned entities or whatever. Then either I think a solution is to refund those customers and just move on, right? But to freeze their money after they've already bought, that's kind of where the concern is coming in, because they want to try to be as compliant as possible, it seems, especially with all the scrutiny that's on the Trumps and the crypto ventures, and they're trying to get rich off it. That's all the headlines. And whether they are or aren't, I don't know. But, at the end of the day, it seems like they're trying to do things the right way. And obviously, there's going to be hiccups along the way. And potentially, this is one of those. But it's really about how they're going to address it. But a crypto developer, from my understanding, a Polygon DevRel, I guess developer relations, he shared an email from World Liberty Finance's compliance team, which flagged his wallet address as high risk due to blockchain exposure. The team said tokens would not be released. He wrote on X, TLDR is, they stole my money. And because it's the president of the United States family, I can't do anything about it. This is the New Age Mafia. There's no one to complain to, no one to argue with, and no one to sue. In response to another user, he claimed that he's one of 6 investors who were subject to 100% token lockups from the beginning. He said it was not high risk to accept money from this address, but it's high risk to unlock owed money into it. And I think that's really where the issue comes, right? Not necessarily that they're locking the coins. Some people are claiming, well, it's not decentralized or whatever. Guys, all the ecosystems do this. There's no true decentralization. And so I think the issue is really the money. Why would they accept the money if the wallet is flagged, right? And if they did, refund the money to the user so that if there are issues or it's not an actually sanctioned address, you're not hurting people who are actually looking to support you, right? But again, this is kind of where we're at in the cycle, right? Where there's just so much going on so fast that, I mean, I don't think anybody on this channel is going out and buying these new coins as soon as they're launching, whether it's World Liberty Finance or one of these other celebrity coins or some of these other coins that are being listed. What do we normally see? A major pump and then a major dump and then sideways trading and then more dumping, especially where we're at in the cycle, because we see it with MicroStrategy. We see it with these other Bitcoin treasury companies. It's just a liquidity drain in the market at this point, because Wall Street's buying. You don't know how long they're going to be buying for, but they're buying right now. And so if you want to offload and you want to sell, this is the time. Because when we're down here, you may be able to sell, but it's going to be at much, much, much lower prices. Going back to the MicroStrategy thing, that's why some of the conversation is, why doesn't MicroStrategy sell some of their coins? Because they are in profit on some of their coins, and a lot of their coins. And so why wouldn't they sell a small portion to cover things? Well, I don't know the answer to that question. Meanwhile, we're now also at the phase where, in my view, there's a lot of distractions. Same kind of nonsense from the last cycle. Now, in July, Raoul Pal posted this, and I'm pretty sure I showed it to you guys. It said, you need an NFT collection. I've explained this to you. To start, either buy a CryptoPunk, or if you can afford one, then buy a Crypto Dick Butt. Your future self will thank you. No, it won't. No, it won't. And as an example of that, this user, Ryder, 33,000 followers, he said, I just sold my Bored Ape for $37,000. I bought it for $425,000. That's almost a $400,000 hole in my chest. And honestly, it feels deserved. And by the way, guys, he lost $400,000 in this trade on a JPEG. On a JPEG, not even on the crypto, on a freaking JPEG. This JPEG, $400,000 loss. Think about that. And by the way, some people lost millions, not even hundreds of thousands, millions. But this is how much a home cost in the U.S. And he lost it on a JPEG. He said, 3 years ago, I told myself I wasn't buying a JPEG. I was buying culture. I was buying access. I was buying a ticket to the future of the internet. Today, that future looks like me sitting in Buffalo Wild Wings in Paramus, New Jersey with three grown men in faded Bored Ape Yacht Club hoodies, watching a muted TV play highlights from a lacrosse game none of us cared about. One guy kept showing me his newest pickup, a polygon frog with laser eyes that he swears is the next Bored Ape. He bought 7,000 of them. They're worth $19. Another guy explained in detail why his girlfriend doesn't get NFTs, but actually sleeps in a different apartment. Now, again, I'm pretty sure most of this is satirical, but not him selling. And I'm going to show you the on-chain proof in just a second. He said, at some point I suggested we all do the ape handshake. Nobody knew what that meant. So we just sat there in silence, looking at each other while the waitress asked if we wanted more ranch. That was the moment I knew it was over. I didn't just lose money. I lost years. I lost hope. I lost the ability to look my accountant in the eye without him audibly sighing. So yeah, the ape is gone. No utility, no community, no handshake, just a picture of a monkey that cost me a house. And by the way, literally, it cost him a house. Not figuratively, literally. And you can see he bought it 3 years ago, and it actually shows the date as September 5th. 2022, which was effectively 1 year after the market topped out. Because the NFT market, generally speaking, topped out in the summer of 2021. And then we saw most altcoins topping out by September. And then we saw basically Bitcoin and Ethereum go to all-time highs until the Federal Reserve started raising rates in November. And so that was the play. And we are at the same point in the cycle now where we're effectively at the top. And people are like, but Cryptoviser, we keep hearing this over and over. And the more I hear it, the more I just want to open up short positions across the board. Across the freaking board. Because at the end of the day, guys, we're hearing about, like, again, to the day almost, one cycle later, 4 years later, after NFTs topped out in 2021, Raoul Pal is posting in July of 2025. 4 years later, I've explained this to you. You need a crypto dick butt. That's what he's saying. You need a crypto dick butt, okay? And by the way, if we look at the CryptoPunks floor, okay, on the 3-month chart from when Raoul Pal said that. Now, the price floor did go up. This is in Ethereum terms, not dollar terms. We can compare it with the dollar terms. Dollar terms, it's basically up as well. But if we pull this back out, you can see that, well, take it off the log chart. You can see that we're significantly lower. And again, this is the part in the cycle where you have to really understand how this all works. Now, Raoul Pal responded to that tweet of him losing $400,000 on Bored Ape. And he said, I have the exact same loss in apes, but all part of the journey. Just part of the journey, losing $400,000, the size of a home. And by the way, these are developers, these are billionaires, but there's a lot of people who bought into this and they're not. And they put their whole life savings into, Bored Ape or a crypto in the last cycle. And they expect this cycle that we have to hit all-time record highs again. But what if we don't? Like in MicroStrategy, there's actually no possible way we can go to all-time record highs unless they stop selling shares and the Bitcoin price goes significantly higher. But they both have to happen exactly in that order together. And the likelihood that we're going to see that occur is very low, except in a bear market. And in a bear market, the price is going to drop precipitously, and then the price here is going to drop precipitously. And so there's no guarantee that we're going to see the same things as we did last cycle, but you guys have to do your own research. Because again, if you look, Raoul Pal posted this in end of August 2025. He said, all you care about is if September is going to be weak. You can't be saved from yourself if that's your mindset. This is the comp versus 2017. Now he's showing the price action now versus 2017. But again, this is on a log chart. I don't trust log charts, and I'm going to show you an example in a second why. He said, just sit in the waiting room, hodl, and touch grass. It'll all play out with or without your endless fretting. Just don't worry about your crypto dick, but just buy it and don't worry about taking profits. No, guys, take profits. Take profits. If you are in profit in your positions, let's say 20% of your positions are in profit, take the profits. The other 80% of your portfolio is not in profit, wait until it goes into profit and take profit. Because we will go into a bear market. And the people who think that we're not going to, well, they're not going to take profits. And they'll be in a bear market and they're going to be in the extreme red. Extreme red. And so, again, if you look at the crypto dick butts, okay, no, this is crypto punks, my bad. So if you look at crypto punks, right, the price, you can clearly see we're lower than we were last cycle, right? But if you pull this in the log chart, oh, it looks like we're just flat. Right, we're just flat. We have barely moved. No, guys, we're much lower than where we were in the last cycle. And so who's literally buying crypto dick butts? Nobody. And by the way, I saw a tweet. I should have pulled it up for the video, but it basically said, this cycle, the SEC is easing up on meme coins. So now NFT investors don't have to pretend like they're investing in fine art. And it's kind of true, right? Meaning NFTs are not this cycle's pump. This cycle's pump was the meme coins, the celebrity coins. That's what this cycle's pump was. And I've been hearing for literally years now, gaming cryptos are going to do well. AI cryptos are going to do well. What else? Smart contract cryptos are going to do well. And while some of them have, they have not performed the way that we think. A lot of them haven't even hit all-time record highs. Because what happened in last cycle is what happened in last cycle. It's not the cycle in front of us. And remember, we trade the cycle in front of us, not the cycle we want. And so would I like higher prices than where we're at? Sure. Are we going to get them? I don't think so. Not yet. Maybe later in the year, maybe next year, but not right now. Right now, we are in a downtrend. And remember, the trend is your friend. A lot of people don't take that to heart. A lot of people don't listen to that. And in my view, they miss out. I looked at all the information coming out with MicroStrategy. I looked at all the companies in the S&P 500. I looked at the experts, not MicroStrategy bulls, but experts who are, understand how these ETFs operate. And they're like, no, there's no guarantee that this is going to happen. And, the financials just didn't match what the S&P 500 actually is. And just because Michael Saylor said he's making $10 billion in profit in a quarter, nobody believes that except for the MicroStrategy bulls because they're not actually making any money. Unrealized gains does not count as actually making money. And in a bear market, that could be complete opposite. And so they're not going to put that in this S&P 500. Plus, Michael Saylor, or I should say MicroStrategy, reversed course on their MNAV guidance. And then MicroStrategy continued to sell every single week, front-running this announcement. And in my view, they were selling pre the non-announcement about non-inclusion in the S&P 500 because they knew they weren't going to be included. And they knew they needed to suck the liquidity out of the market while they could. Because once the non-inclusion occurs, it breaks down that whole narrative. Everybody's been waiting for it. It's been priced in the market. And the market dropped this much before the non-announcement and non-inclusion in the S&P 500. How much do you think it's going to fall after? And now we're in the after phase. I think it's going down much, much more. Like I said, minimum, just compressing the MNAV to 1, which will bring it to about $220. But I think we can go much lower than that. Much lower. Much lower. And so it's going to be very interesting to see. By the way, there's going to be a lot of bulls that if we drop $50, drop $60, you're going to say, yep, buy the dip. This is the dip to buy. This is definitely the dip to buy. Michael Saylor is going to save us. No, he won't. No, because he can't. Because all the Bitcoin treasury companies in the world, they only own about 2 to 3, and the ETFs, they only own about 2 to 3% of the entire supply of Bitcoin. That means there's 98% of the supply that they don't own. And you think that there's going to be a supply shock at all-time record highs when there hasn't been in over a year, when all the buying has been occurring? I mean, to me, it's clear as crystal. And I would imagine many of you guys got to let me know in the comments down below. Like, is what I'm saying making sense? Do you see it as clearly as I do? Of where MicroStrategy, they're the risk this cycle, because they're the main buyer this cycle. All the other companies, they're fucked. Like all the other Bitcoin treasury companies with over $100,000 buy prices, they are all fucked. Okay, and I'm not necessarily talking about 21 because they're getting backing from Tether and stuff like that, but like Anthony Pompliano's ProCap, Nakamoto, Kindly MD. These are all over $100,000 buy prices. And their stock is already compressing down because they keep selling more shares on the open market to raise money, because they're doing the same thing that MicroStrategy is doing, because they know the liquidity is drying up. In my view, it's so clear. And it has been. And it will continue to be. And by the way, I am not that confident that I'm going to say, yeah, in a month, I'm still going to be this bearish and I'm going to have puts and shorts and all of this against the market. Because by the time you're watching this video, these positions could be closed out already, and maybe and probably will be. Because in this volatility, you're going to have a lot of volatility. Because as MicroStrategy keeps selling, the bulls will keep buying. And yes, there are some Wall Street institutions that are buying MicroStrategy, so they'll continue to be liquidity as well, but it's slowing down. And until the government or the Federal Reserve starts printing money, and cutting rates is not printing money, until they start printing money or quantitative easing in a very clear and concise communication about it, until that happens, we are going into a downtrend. And I think as the downtrend accelerates, it's going to get us closer to them quantitative easing, printing money. And I think it's going to be probably 30 to 60 days. It's going to be a little bit longer than most people think. But I think we're going to end the year in the stock market, in the indexes, higher than where we are today, or higher than when we started the year, which is still good, because that means if we have a dip into November, maybe even into December, maybe they'll start quantitative easing in December, push us up by the end of the year. But just keep that in mind, that once the narrative starts to shift, it's very hard to reverse it, and it's already shifted. The trend is down. But the MicroStrategy bulls are like, no, this is so bullish. You got to buy right now. Buy this dip. Ignore them, because they are all going to be wiped out. All of them. Because they're too bullish, and they're not seeing the financial gibberish that doesn't actually mean anything. Because if Michael Saylor's company is selling their own shares, why are you buying it? Anyway, by the way, same thing goes for Ripple and XRP, because they're doing the same exact thing. And the only difference is what Ripple is doing doesn't necessarily benefit XRP. At least what MicroStrategy is doing, hopefully somewhat benefits, the stock and the stockholders. But that's in a longer time horizon. Where we are in the cycle right now, I believe we are right up here, euphoria and complacency. And once we get down to this next phase, anxiety and denial, you cannot buy the dip on the way. Like, you have to wait for a bottom. We will see the bottom. We will know when the bottom is. Trust. When the Fed starts printing or quantitative easing, that's the bottom. But they haven't started. Cutting rates is not that. So keep that in mind. Just because they cut rates, you may see an initial bump in the market. But number one, it's priced in. Number two, it's not printing. When they start printing, buy everything. Buy everything in the market. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to give this video an absolutely free thumbs up. Also, hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss a new video. We upload every single day of the year. See you guys on the next video. Crypto on.